Moving along to the next session, we would now like to invite Sime Darby Property Group Managing Director, Dato Azmir Marikan, to share with us on Sime Darby Property's plans to integrate solar solutions into townships. Dato Azmir, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yang bahagia, yang berhormat, Rafizi Ramli, Minister of Economy, Berhad, Nik Nazmi, Nik Ahmad, and RAC. I quite like it, but I will say in full respect. Minister of Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change, Dr. Nazmi, Tan Sri Wahid, Dr. Umar, Tan Sri Zam, it's a lot of dignitaries, Dr. Karusale, Danny, I can go on, but thank you. Thank you so much for giving Sime Darby Property the opportunity to present today of what we think we can do, being the largest developer of landed homes. So I think YB Rafizi has mentioned Sime Darby, I think I counted 5 times. I will do a recap of what was presented and what's the main idea behind the idea of how do we supplement clean energy as part of the NREC. So a quick overview for those of you who are not so familiar, or those of you who are familiar, reintroduction to the company. What is Sime Darby Property Berhad? We are the largest developer of landed homes. We've got 25 active townships, generally in developed urban areas. And we also have quite large land banks. This 15,000 acres of land banks, we need quite a lot of it because we build horizontally. Unlike many other developers who build vertically, we build horizontally. Oh, by the way, we have Battersea Power Station, a former energy producer who's now no longer in energy, but a mall and a place, residence, and for commercial development. Yeah. Slight digress. But let me move on. So we have two main businesses, I should say. One is a property development. That's about 95% of our business. We are in landed homes, we are in high-rise, and we are in integrated developments. And for the last 3 years, we've been very strong in industrial parks and logistic parks. We are the largest right now in the area of logistics and industrial parks. Today, we are also an investment manager and an asset manager. We seek to generate recurring income, and we have an industrial development fund, which is developing industrial and logistic assets. And as some of you here, which I've met today, all know, who are golfers, we have 2 golf courses along with an event space and a sports complex. So the short introduction, and why are we here today? Like many of you, we have an ambition to go to net zero. We've not announced our targets, but we are working on it. We've been reporting our energy consumption for a long time, yeah, and since 2010, if I'm not mistaken. It's now 14.7 tons of carbon last year, and 95% of this emission comes from electricity usage, yeah. So how do we reduce this usage seriously? So one of the things that we looked at is, in the government, how do we support the government's effort in rolling out NTR? And how do we, as, I guess, the largest developer of landed homes, we have a lot of rooftops, and I can show you this picture. This is a picture of on the left you have a newer phase. It's not open yet in Elmina. There's a lot of rooftop space, right? There's residents who will live in this space, and of course, there's those who have already taken ownership. And on the right is the Elmina Business Park, which you will have light to medium industries. So this is very popular. And in Elmina, if you don't know where it is, it's somewhere between Sungai Buloh and Shah Alam region. The rooftop spaces under the sun is generally, whilst we talk about being able to put solar, generally speaking, if you go to our township, it is not done so. So we have this opportunity, and also at the township we have large energy demands. So let me elaborate a little bit by what I mean by this. Yeah? So as we move forward and as we project forward, what do we see at this township? In a typical township, and this is one of our larger townships, like 6,500 acres. In fact, it's actually 5 townships in the city of Elmina. It's got 1,500 acres of business park and over 35,000 homes once it's fully developed by 2040, right? Components-wise, in a township like this, you've got, of course, the homes, industrial and logistics. And of course, you need malls, you need retail. These are what you see in townships of today. What that means is that when we look at our energy needs now and we project what it would be by 2040, we would need about 2.2 billion kilowatt hour per annum. That is the demand. And in terms of carbon emissions, it's about 1.7 million metric ton per annum. So this is the signature, the carbon signature for a township like this. So we feel that given the NTER, there's an opportunity for us to work with the government to produce cleaner energy and offer solutions. And in fact, there are 2 things that we are looking at. What's the big idea? There's 2 main things. But what you see here is that we can see that we can allocate about 1,000 acres of our future developable land banks, as well as utilize the rooftop spaces. Current rooftop, we've only taken about 10% of current rooftop spaces. And we looked at 2 sites in Kedah and 1 more in Johor. We looked at how we can generate clean energy, solar energy, from these 2 sites. And the potential supply, looking at rooftops from commercial, retail, industrial, and residential, we feel that we are able to generate a solar capacity of 545 megawatt, which can then supply about 1.1 billion kilowatt per annum. That will mean that we can reduce the annual carbon footprint by 843 metric tons. So this is why something like this is interesting. And what I like to share is how we feel we can do this. Now, this is our solar solution, and this is the idea. If you look at this, there's 2 parts of this. One is a utility scale ground solar farms. I'm told this is now the correct way to say it, or we used to call it large scale solar farms, right? So what we like to use is, to propose is that we would generate electricity via our solar farms. These are ground-mounted solar farms via 2 sites, and transmit this into the grid. It's a virtual offtake that can be utilized by all the the components we have in our township, which is the industrial mainly, the malls, the retail component, as well as potentially even the residents. The second one is the solar rooftop idea, which I think YB Rafizi has mentioned, that we will lease the rooftop solars, the ones that are not being used, and that itself will enable us to generate electricity directly into the township. We feel that we are able to come up with, we are able to get a microgrid system going. It's localized, and this can be used to supply back energy into the township. Let me just elaborate slightly. This is the proposal for rooftop solar. What do? We would rent back your rooftops. For homes that we have already developed, we assume for every 10 person, one would be interested. We will rent your rooftops from you and pay you a lease. Of course, you have the option of doing this directly, but we assume because if you generate it with us, this will go back to the grid and you have certainty, this will be attractive. We will then distribute this within the township and supply it to those who need power, right? So under this proposal, our rooftop solar will utilize the existing rooftops in the township. We will then no longer limit the customer's propensity or affordability for solar system, because we can max out the rooftops, about 10 kilowatt hour systems. We can also use the system to power your own homes, but what we think will be the most effective use is for the precincts such as the business park, as well as our malls. What's the difference with this? What's special about this? Number one, solar generated will be offtake by retail and commercial users, and it's all within the township. Number two, homeowners are not obligated to offtake or to pay for the solar energy system. It minimizes the energy loss since generation and offtake is all within the township. And number four, this model does not require any subsidy from the government or TNB. It is purely driven by the private sector. This is the second item that we did speak to the Ministry of Economy. And this is about utility scale ground-mounted solar, which will have a virtual offtake to high-demand users. So this means that through the NTER, we will then be able to utilize the ground-mounted solar to off-takers in the city of Elmina. So we can generate it in Kedah, for example, and we utilize it in our townships. These large-scale solar farms can generate solar energies and supply to virtually any of our township or any off-taker. This allows us to utilize future developable land banks by powering our own townships with renewable energy. And we think this is something that quite a few developers will be interested to do. So, what is the potential? What is the potential role for companies like Sime Darby Property? Number one, the potential is that we will be able to power our township and energy demands, especially the energy of tomorrow, where we have potential to be generators, distributors, off-takers of solar energy, all within the townships. We can play a role in the integration and generation, of our utility scale ground-mounted solar, and also control over the distribution and retail, which enables us to channel the energy generated to the end customers. as well as enable us to deal with off-takers to offset their energy. Yeah. So if you look at the areas which are highlighted in green, those are areas that definitely a company like us will be keen to explore. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my last final slide. In summary, what is the proposal? We aim to utilize and play a role in via the NETR by using our large developments across our 15,000 acres that we have. We aim to use ground-mounted solar farms and rooftop solars to generate clean energy. Via the NETR, we hope to pilot rooftop solar solutions and utility-scale solar. And with this, we feel that we can produce up to 300 megawatts. This is a supplement to the township, which would always require much more energy. We feel about 1/3 of it can come from clean energy. And thirdly, I think the outcome here is for us to have what we always want: clean, green townships, which increases the renewable energy adoption, not just at the township, but at the national level. Green townships is obviously the aim. For Sime Darby Property, our aim is that at some point to be a self-sustaining township, but this powering the township 1/3 to clean energy is the agenda, and we feel via the NETR, this is what we can viably do today to kick it off and to get it going. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dato Azmir, for sharing those upcoming plans. It's certainly an interesting feature for us to look forward to in our next living spaces.